some technical difficulties. Turn the volume up. There we go. Man, it was tough getting here. Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. And I'm looking in the wrong direction. I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Welcome to my live. Not, I see no one's here yet. This is Christmas Eve. I didn't expect a big turnout, but I wanted to get on anyway and talk about Miss CLEO. I forgot to put my lipstick on. I feel naked. I don't know what's going on. These AirPods are not working, so I'm not even gonna bother with it. I tried to connect it to this iPad and connect, but I'm having a time. But that's okay. It's Christmas Eve and I'm too excited. Oh, now that lets me connect. Let's see if I can get the sound better. Hopefully this is better. I don't know what's going on. Hello. I see a couple people came in. Hi. Let me see live chat. There we go. Anyway, so I want to talk about the Miss CLEO movie. It was really, or documentary, I should say. It was really adorable and cute and made me love that woman even more. I'm going to add, I didn't know that Miss CLEO died. I didn't know that there was all this mystery. When I, my interpretation of her life and everything was that basically it was the whole psychic network was a scam, and that she somehow was the network. Like, I didn't understand. I thought Miss CLEO went to jail. Like, I don't know. I didn't have a lot of knowledge, and I don't think a lot of other people did really knew what happened to Miss CLEO. But yeah, so, and this is going to be spoilers, sorry. But Miss CLEO actually, to me, seemed like a woman who had a very interesting upbringing. They talk about how she actually was into be acting. She went to this like acting school, or performing art school called Langston Hughes in Seattle, and it's, if you don't get the name Langston Hughes, I think it's more for people of color, or predominantly of African descent. She had attended there, I think they said in the 80s. And I also didn't realize she was a tall woman, so tall, like just a bigger woman. Watching the documentary, all these things make sense to me about like maybe a little bit more of her story. So she had been telling people her story. Her story was that her mother gave her up for adoption. A family took her in, and she that was basically her story. But those who knew her a little bit more said that there was more to the story. There was some dark stuff, some bad stuff that happened to her. And one thing that several people mentioned, that you would have had to have some trauma happen in your life, for you to basically take on a whole other persona. The people who knew her at Langston Hughes, because that's the earliest account anybody has of her before Miss CLEO on TV, is that let me make sure I'm not skipping anything. Anyway, is they were basically making sure, I'm making sure, I'm tripping. They were basically saying, she didn't have a Jamaican accent. And, if you ever saw a Miss CLEO commercial, which you can Google here on YouTube, they exist. And she's all, call me now, So she didn't have that accent um, in real life. She only seemed to have that on TV. So, take what you will with that. But she, I'm trying to get comfortable on this floor. But she, I, it was basically inferred that she must have a lot of trauma to take on it, because she didn't just take on it on TV. It's not like she was just sort of fake the accent on TV, and then once she was with her real friends or whatever, that she switched up. They said she talked like that the whole time. There are so many key things that I want to point out that I haven't heard talked about the show. One, I did notice that at least the people who were willing to talk, of course, this woman has family, but they didn't. I don't know if they chose not to be on the documentary. I'm just confused. That throws me off. Like, it's the adoptive family, but this woman's life is a mystery. Um, She was not the psychic network. She was simply a spokesperson, and she wasn't even paid very well. So my heart goes out to her for that. She was never put in jail or anything like that. The lawsuit was not. It was initially against her, that the government had against the psychic network because they got greedy, and it was just two rich men from out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who ran the psychic network. And the network, by the way, was across the United States. It was a lot. It was a lot bigger than people realized. Of these little call centers they set up for people, because if you called in, you didn't talk to Miss Cleo, most likely. She even said she was only on the phones once she became the spokesperson for the psychic network. She took calls 6 months after becoming a host, and she never took another call again. Like like in a call center, the people who, of course, were taking the calls were not psychics. We'd like to believe maybe some of them were, maybe some of them were just very intuitive, but they had a script. So that was a bummer, hearing that. You think it, but it's another thing, like, it. um, yeah, so Miss Cleo seemed to be intuitive. She, like, people in her private life, they said that she had an altar set up, that she talked to spirits that way. So that wasn't all for fake. So she really was about that. I don't know if she was initiated. I don't know if she explained that to the people that she was around. Like, there's, like, again, there's some mystery behind that. She talks about, basically, she says she's a voodoo priestess. I think she at some point referred to herself that way as well. But she could talk to spirits. And it seemed to be the case, for people in her life, they felt like she truly had that gift. They had experiences with her. Again, I found that endearing. As someone, to just look at it from a personal point of view, as someone who reads I read tarot for a living, and sometimes other divination tools I use as well. But you know, if you there's going to be people in my life who may have known me for a long time, and they might say, well, Mika's never been the I didn't know she was into that, or I didn't know that she could do that. She's never told me anything. There you can find quite a few people, because here's the thing: I don't put on a show for everyone that knows me. I am not in a closet. Clearly, I'm on YouTube. I have a website. I put my face out there. I need 2023. I need to do a little bit more marketing of myself. I've kind of just let things happen organically. Just here, I haven't really. I'm not. I need to promote myself better, or my brand, as they say. Let me grab something. First of all, check out my shirt, by the way. Another YouTuber made this, Angie Belmar, but peppermint and Dixie Dust, big, or excuse me, Pixie Dust. I love this shirt. I think this shirt is adorable. So it's my Christmas Eve outfit. I have to stay hydrated. I'm shaking off the last of whatever was left between the sinus infection. I'm no longer COVID. Like, I don't have any. I no longer have COVID. I don't have anything like that, but I did have COVID. And I gave it to my daughter. I felt so bad about that. I don't even, I don't know where I was to even get it. But anyway, moving on. So people don't know, they know me, but they don't, know me. They don't know me now. So I guess they would have a different interpretation if they had to explain. They might be shocked. I know there's some people who might be shocked that, oh, I didn't know she called herself a witch. I didn't know she did all those things, but I don't talk to them on a regular basis anymore, so they don't know about the evolution of my life over the last 20 years, 10, 15 years. I don't know. I can't keep count anymore. But anyway, they might not realize. They just know me from, at this point, social media posts that I post. Hi, Gemstones. Hello. They don't know me like that. So I can understand how maybe some people could legit not be able to understand this other side of her. But there was a key thing. I brought up the Langston Hughes Performing Arts School Theater that she was at, because there was two things that happened there that they talked about. The people they interviewed who went to school with her, or who were in that production with her. Hi, the Princess Diaries. Hey girl, hey. And they said that Miss Cleo, and she was going. Her name was Yuri. I think they could pronounce the Yuri. Then I just watched the trailer because I'd never heard of it before. It is very interesting. Well, if you've ever seen those infomercials, and you, like I said, you could Google them because they're available on YouTube. Miss Cleo. I didn't even realize that because why would I be looking for that? But it is. But anyway, they said that Miss Cleo, at the time, she wasn't going by that name, but and no accent, but apparently she had there was a character they had been working on, and it was like this Jamaican. It was described. I have her tarot deck interesting. It was she didn't get any money from that. I found that out from the documentary, but Miss Cleo, I'm going to just call her Miss Cleo. I forgot what her real name was. By the way, which they don't even know if that was her real name. It's not like she told them who they were. Now they're like, even you can tell in the documentary, those people that from that her time in Langston Hughes are still confused about who was she really. Like, who she says she was is who they believed. But anyway, she well, there's two things I wanted to point out. I lost the first one, so I'll go to the second one. She was given money to put on this play, and it was like several thousands of dollars, and she was supposed to pay the actors. It was like a project, and she did not. She kept the money, and then she said she had cancer, and then they said things just didn't add up. So you don't want to believe somebody says they have cancer, you believe them, but they said it just didn't add up, and I was like, that's really messed up. But yeah, then the other thing was that dang, the fake accent, the stealing of the money. Oh, the character. The character was a Jamaican shaman that they had been doing in this play. A Jamaican shaman woman. That's what the woman explained it. I wouldn't use those words. That's what was described. And that was Miss Cleo. The accent that she was doing on TV and all that, that was from that character. So I just thought that was interesting. But like I said, they talked about she must have had an incredible amount of trauma or some issues to maintain this alter ego or this character. Still just got that little tickle in my throat. This character, she had to have had maybe some sort of trauma. Like, you have to think about it to be in this character, to take on a completely different persona. I have tried to do that over the years. When I was younger, a young adult, I tried to literally change my persona, my voice. I even changed my name, my first name. I talked about this in a different video. So I did, but do you know how difficult it is to keep all the time? Like, you stay that way. You would have to, first off, not be around anybody who really knew you because they would throw you off. But, and I don't know what her situation was, but apparently she was telling people she wasn't born. Once she was Miss Cleo, she wasn't born in this country. She was born in Jamaica, and her mother brought her here and gave her to someone because she couldn't take care of her. But I don't know if that was really true. They alluded maybe that wasn't true because they found a birth certificate and she was born in this country. But show business, people change things up. It fits her persona, her character. But she stayed in that character. She was um, she came out as lesbian. I did not know that about Miss Cleo. That fascinated me. She was When I was in Florida, living in Florida, she was living in Florida. I watched this with my daughter, and we're sitting up there like she was at like a pride parade. They showed that in the documentary. Her friends, they talked about it, and she was in this community, mostly all white people. Why do I bring that up? I find that fascinating, and it was alluded by someone else because there's a couple people speaking um, throughout the documentary that she may have grown up around predominantly white people. And that's fascinating because, of course, the counter, conversation of her being, is it just not going to show me the chats? Here we go. The whole situation of her, telling people that she's born in Jamaica and all this stuff in the accent. And I didn't realize that was a fake accent because I guess I'm slow. I don't know. I didn't know that was a fake Jamaican accent until this documentary. That was news to me. I was like, oh, that was fake. And it was like, oh, real Jamaicans would know that wasn't a real accident. I don't know. It went over my head. I didn't realize it was fake. Um, what I found incredibly endearing about this is the part about just keeping up this persona all the time. Like, I think she believed she was Miss Cleo. I think it wasn't an act. It wasn't a shift in her mind. I think that's who she was. And then someone even mentioned, and I really got on this, it kind of stuck in my mind. Maybe that was a spirit coming through her. Maybe it was an ancestor coming through her and just took over. Um, Maybe it didn't start off that way, and she thought she kind of had control, and she was making it up. This identity, this new identity, but in the end, the identity took over, and it became more than that. But one, I just again want to reiterate, even if you consider that scammy and scam, I don't. She wasn't scamming. The psychic network was scamming. Those two guys living in Fort Lauderdale, they said their names. I didn't write them down. Maybe she was channeling and didn't realize it. I do wonder because, I mean, try not being you for a day. Like, just go the whole day changing the voice, giving yourself an accent, just an entire persona, the way you dress. That is interesting. Like, the way you dress, how you problem solve, the way you think. That's totally different from this other person, whoever that is, that you are. And try to do that all day. Like, just go a whole day just not being you. On, whether even if it's just imitating someone else, like, interact out in the world to people who think that they assume they know you, but obviously don't know you can split your personality. I find that very fascinating. And I think that typically for someone to do that, we know there's usually like trauma. I mean, you can attempt to do this intentionally, but that's a difficult thing to hold. Like, there would be cracks if it was just scamming. Method actors do that, so it's not as far fetched as it seems. Maybe she had a personality disorder. I do wonder about that. I think both, because she was, in a performing star, and they said she was really good. It's not like she was a good actress. So if this was the role of a lifetime and she just played it. But for spiritual people, I do wonder, did she tap into something else? Because her friends that they interviewed said she had an altar set up. She talked to spirits in her downtime, and that kept her involved. So she's apparently had this gift before she got on the psychic network, per her, because there was an interview done with her where she was talking about it, and the documentary goes back and forth with this interview that had been done with her, had been done previously, early, but after the lawsuit and all that sort of stuff. But she wasn't making any real money. They never said how much, but she was just not making enough money. The lawyers for the government that went after her, I forgot which side. It wasn't the FBI. I forgot which branch, but they went after the psychic network. It was after her too. The only reason they went after her is because someone got a bill and it was signed Miss Cleo. Well, the psychic network was forging her signature. First of all, that wasn't even her real name, but they were forging her signature on bills and billing people for those additional minutes and saying, oh, you didn't pay, your bill, and sending like collection notices. They got very greedy. By the way, these men, please understand, they were like seriously rich, like really, really rich. They made a lot of money off of this whole psychic network thing. And the lawyer, they said, was talking about just the realization of how big it was, how many call centers. They used her as a scapegoat. Yeah, they did. So they dropped her out of the lawsuit. And honestly, those two guys, because the rich, they got off. I mean, they were punished, but rich people, if you tell them to pay a fine, they paid something, they closed it down, and they just, do something else someplace else. They weren't actually really punished, and I believe they still exist. I want to circle back to the cancer thing, that when she was at Langston Hughes, and there was a discrepancy over some money, and she didn't pay the actors who was part of her project, the performance they put on. She said she had cancer. Now, they said something didn't add up, so they didn't believe she really had cancer. However, fast forward, again, I didn't realize she did have cancer. That's what she died from, cancer. And she didn't tell a lot of people which makes sense because she seemed to be a very mysterious woman. Um, I don't think it's bad that she was mysterious and that people didn't understand her true origins and where she came from. I don't think people need to know that. I don't think I'm here, you're getting to know me, either you like me or you don't. Like you want to be with me or you don't. And this like if for relationships, friendships, whatever, like you don't need to know every detail of my life. I'm telling you what I feel comfortable telling you. And the thing about it is, I don't think it was because she was trying to get over on people. This is what I believe. I think it's a thing because I wonder if there was some trauma, something she didn't want to deal with. She had spoken to her friends. They talked about how she was such a tall woman and a bigger, like just a bigger person. You know, she took up space, and how she felt so large as a teenager, and as a growing up, she just felt so big compared to everybody else, and that made her a little self conscious. And I was like, okay, just assuming. I mean, she was a taller and a bigger woman, so I was like, maybe that does not big, but you know what I mean. Just when you're tall, your arms are bigger, your legs, you're just a bigger person. Statuesque, yes. And her voice, it projected as well, which made sense for her to want to go into acting. So I was like, one, if she did have those types of insecurities, interesting that she went into acting, where she got to be a different person. And I was like, that may have been kind of a bigger deal than anything, because maybe she didn't want to be herself and it was fun play acting. I can definitely understand that. At my again in my example, what I've attempted to change myself, basically alter myself, I couldn't keep it up. I could not hold it. I couldn't keep it up, and I'm glad because I like me. I needed to learn to like me. I needed to learn that I was good enough as is. That I didn't need to alter my entire being, not just my outward appearance, but my inner thoughts, my voice. Like I didn't need to do that. I didn't realize that then. But this we're talking. I was like 22, like early 20s. I was still learning myself. But I thought, I don't know. I was thinking if I do this, I would be better. That didn't work, and I couldn't keep it up, which is my point. I think most women create alter egos in their 20s, right? Like you're trying out a person out. I feel like you're trying on who am I really? Who am I gonna be? I wasn't gonna be that girl. I mean, I had people calling me by a totally different name. Oop, my head thing came out. I had people calling me a whole different name. Like they were going by my middle name. Those were wild years. Those were wild years for me. I wouldn't trade it because it helped me to understand a little bit more about myself and other people. I have a lot of empathy when people say, "Oh, they're so fake and they're phony." There's a reason they're fake and phony. They there's a lot more to their story, and those people are interesting. Now, I won't spend too much time on it because I can't. I'm also turned off by people who are very fake and phony for whatever reason. Like you're nice people, not kind people. They're just nice. There's a lot of people walking around being very nice, but they're not kind, and you can tell it's not genuine. It's not coming from a genuine place. I'm good with that. I can't deal with that. But anyway, so she did die of cancer, and these people that she had in her life, which was the people they interviewed were an array of just different type of people. She lived with a roommate when she was on the psychic network. When she was doing an infomercial, she had a roommate, and he even said, like in a documentary, I knew she wasn't making a lot of money because she was living in my house. Because why would she have to live with him if she made a bunch of money, right? So she did not make a lot of money from that, which again that hurts because they made millions of dollars off of her, if not more, and this poor woman didn't see that. I think they gave her a couple thousand here and there. Like she didn't make any real money, and she was just had a contract with them. um, she didn't have any children that we know of. No one's come forward and said she has kids. I didn't know what to expect from this documentary, but I think I was shocked a little bit at all the extra stuff about her. For instance, there's she had a long time girlfriend, and they they got together when her girlfriend had just recently come out. As she had just come out, and she was, I think she said she was like in her 50s or almost 60, and she finally was, living her truth. Kudos to her. And that's when it got together. And I don't know that. I don't know. I love that. A real eye-opening documentary. I feel for her and everything she went through. Oh, hi Lisa. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Sometimes you gotta just like look at the whole picture. And once they kind of cleared up the whole, she didn't really make any money. She didn't really make any money. The scammers were the people who owned the psychic network, and it wasn't her idea. They didn't know her. Like they already existed, and then it by happenstance, she became the host. It wasn't even like, oh, she went for an interview. Like she was around certain people. She had friends, and that's how it happened. They gave her a chance, and then boom, she took off her, and she was. It was contagious. I remember those infomercials where I just sat there and watched. I never was gonna call in because no, but it wasn't spending $4.99 a minute. That's $5 a minute. Woo. And then they even said in the documentary that when you called in, they would say the first 3 minutes are free. The first 3 minutes is you giving information. So your address, they wanted your address and phone number, and they had to get that from you. So they ate up your 3 minutes immediately. So that was unfair, real shady. Um, but yeah, so she came out and she like was like there was like a local coffee place, and this was again in South Florida. She was staying. I think Fort Lauderdale area as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they said it was around there. And she was it Miami or Fort Lauderdale? Same difference. They're close. But anyway, she used to hang after the lawsuit, and she was no longer affiliated with the psychic network. She didn't get a big check from that experience. She kind of just withdrew and stayed to herself, and I don't blame her. People were thinking she was a horrible person, she scammed, she was a liar, and a lot of negative stuff was associated with her, so she just kind of checked out. I get that. And she, like I said, there was this local coffee house she started going to, and she came out, literally out more to the public, to like let herself out, be out and about, because a lot of the people who said they knew her, that they felt bad that she was a recluse basically. um, and that wasn't her personality. She was an outgoing person. They have like home video of her with her friends, like her roommate and like her other friends and their family, like people who they had kids, and she was the godmom to someone's child. Like I'm like, this is crazy. Like, of course she had a life. I mean, it's not crazy that she had this whole other life, but it's just crazy that she was still Miss Cleo. This is after the lawsuit, after Psychic Network. She was still that person. They didn't say that she didn't have an accent unless they all were covering for her. But yeah, she was this other, still this person, and that's the part that I find very fascinating. So I was like, it just became her. That's who she. I guess she just accepted. I am Miss Cleo. I am this person. And the woman she had been in a relationship with, she didn't die in a relationship with her. They broke up. They broke up because she said that she felt like Miss Cleo was kind of like, they were living together, they were together, and then like she was pulling apart, and she said they became glorified roommates. Like there was no passion with them after a while. I find this very fascinating, and she clearly had moved on. Miss Cleo had moved on, and yeah, so the relationship ended. But in her, before she passed, dying of cancer, I think she talked to her, told her she loved her, all that sort of stuff. And I thought that was really interesting as well. I don't know who the last person she was with they didn't interview, but maybe they didn't want to be interviewed. Um, Raven Simone was someone who was like playing like host on the documentary a little bit. And I cannot remember, her name is Deborah. I forget her last name. Oh, it was in my head a moment ago. And she was she played on Mad TV, the black skinned woman. I think they had a light skinned woman on there too at one time. She's darker brown. I don't know. But anyway, she was on there. She's all tatted up, I was first of all, I was just enjoying whenever they got to her and she was talking about Miss Cleo because her tattoos are fire. Like I just love her style. So I was just like fascinated when she got on the screen. Raven Simone looks good. I think she looks really good. She seems really healthy and in a positive space herself. And I like when they cut to her and she would talk as well. But they talked about the psychic network, the people who actually worked there and took calls. They had some of those people there. One of them even helped in the lawsuit against the psychic network because she was just so offended and really disgusted with how they ran the business because clearly, it was all one big scam. And people were calling because she would say, call me down, call me down. And people would call thinking they were going to get Miss Cleo and you were just going to get somebody. Because how was everybody going to get Miss Cleo at the same time, right? Um, you were calling the network and you were going to get a call center person who, by the way, they had a script. So nothing was off the cuff. It was scripted and everything. I was like, dang. Um, but I mean, I guess I knew that. I mean, that's why I never called the psychic network because I knew it was, I didn't believe it. I didn't think it was real. I mean, I didn't believe she was real when I watched it. I thought she was funny. And you got to think about it. Miss Cleo, or the character of Miss Cleo, really just kind of it took off into pop culture and people started imitating her. They talk about that on the documentary. Dave Chappelle imitated her. They did a thing on a skit on Mad TV. All it was the thing. The night show hosts, they did a couple things as well. So she made it into pop culture. Like everybody knew who Miss Cleo was. Um, the thing, my biggest takeaways from the documentary um, is you really have to know your worth in this world. You have to know your worth. I mean, I think we know that on a high level, but watching that is another reminder. So it's all about kind of your expectations, your intentions, and when you're going into something. So she was going into this deal, this contract with the psychic network as a host, and she didn't think much of it. But I realized that, had she, of course, hindsight, if she had, she would have negotiated for a lot more money or left a clause or an opening for negotiations to get more money off of that. So, yeah, she should have trademarked her name. Oh my gosh, yes. They sold merchandise and things like that with her name, and she had nothing to do with it, never saw any money from it. Um, so, again, now as someone, specifically for me, my takeaway was like, you need to just take whatever opportunities come, take them seriously, assume it can turn into something more. Just have that automatic assumption, and if so, what happens if this turns into something more? You want, leave room to negotiate, leave room for more. It's okay that is an opportunity and you're just starting, but think big, think big. Um, so that's one, know your worth, always. And the other takeaway is that if you if I ever felt for whatever reason in my life that the people, my family, my blood family, if I was no longer connected to them for my choice, their choice, whatever, if I basically was alone, I felt alone in this world and I needed to create my own family, it's possible because she did that. Because when she died, these people loved her. These people that was in her life, the roommate, the friends, the godson, the person she had been in a relationship, who even till she speaks very positively. She's like, that, like, why would this woman be interested in me? I'm just, she said she was like, I'm just this white woman that's from the Midwest. What did she see in me? And I was really hoping when they first introduced her on the documentary, like, please don't tell me this, like, she took something from this woman or something. That no, this woman is like, no, excuse me, no, they had a great relationship. When it was really good, it was good, and she helped her and she spoke positive, and I was like, dang. And I just, that to me was just, I don't know, not that I plan on not ever speaking to my entire family again, but it just it's a reminder you can create family. You can create family. I know that as someone who's moved around a lot and had to meet a lot of different people and not be around my family for like major holidays. Like now, I'm not around my family. My mother's birthday is on Christmas, by the way. So, I mean, we have video call and we'll do that, but I haven't been around for a major holiday in more than a decade. Yeah, more than 10 years. I think the last one was 2008 was the last time I shared a holiday with my mom. And by default, the rest of my family, cousins, grandmom, all that, aunts, and whatever. But so I know a little something about that, but it's one thing. I mean, it's just a distance thing. In this case, like if I just wasn't talking to them, yeah, you can create you can pick family. You can pick people. Hopefully you click with them, but and they click with you. But you can pick these people, and they can become family. All you have to do is just invest time, and I would say be honest. But maybe she was honest about who she was. Maybe that's who she believed she was after a while. It's a fascinating documentary. Um, uh, uh, I watched it twice to prepare for this live, um, and those are my major takeaways. And that I just have a lot of compassion. I don't feel like this was a bad person. Was there some opportunity, an opportunist? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, but who is it? When you take advantage of an opportunity, aren't you an opportunist? Um, I don't know. She wasn't perfect. That doesn't mean she was all one way. No one's just black and white. There's a gray areas. There's nuance to people. It's complicated, and I want to give that woman some grace. And I didn't know that she died. I didn't know. I mean, I didn't think about her, so I hadn't realized that all the for those years she was around. She was around, and then she died, and I felt like maybe I missed that. I was living in Florida when all this was happening, and I was like, why was it on the local news? Did I just miss it? I mean, I had cable, I had local news. Why did I miss this story? And of course, I thought about, well, what were you doing in Florida? I had my own, the very thing that she was doing. I was creating my own network, my own family, my own people that had been part of my everyday. I was doing the same thing. So when I'm watching, I'm like, dang, that's familiar because I was doing something very similar. I hadn't come out. I'm not coming out. Wait, I'm wording that wrong. But that's not my path. But I met, at the time, my husband there. I had started this whole new life. I came to Florida one way, and then when I got there, everything. I don't know. My life changed. I don't know. I was living a different life basically. Once I got there, I don't know. There were some interesting parallels in that documentary about Miss CLEO's life that just stood out to me. Um, if you are remotely into the witchy world, pagan or something like that, not saying that you can't enjoy it if you're not, but I think you'll find a little bit more enjoyment out of it maybe than others. I just believe that because um, the discussion about using tarot cards and her altar setup and so forth. It's not like she was in the streets knocking people upside the head. Yeah, true. She was trying to just get paid legally. Exactly. Exactly. Why did that go away? Yeah, legally using her acting talent. I remember how they demonized her and mocked her. They really did. Um, they really did. Like the late night talk show hosts, the comedians, the little skits they did. Um, I mean, it didn't help. And then I don't remember it being made public that the government dropped all charges against her. She was no longer implicated or associated with the psychic network because they looked at this woman's money and they looked at her situation, and there was no way in the world that she was making any money. Like she wasn't on the top. It was, she was just a paid employee, paid not well at that, but she wasn't. Yeah, and it was proven that they forged her signature and all that sort of stuff. So, but and that's why she kind of withdrew. But in the court of public opinion, she was a scammer. Um, she was someone to be laughed at. I don't know. And I'm even myself looking back. I never, I didn't know. I didn't know that there was more to her. Um, I didn't know either. So, I thought it was funny. I thought those skits were funny as well. I can be honest and say that. But it's jacked up. Which leads me to my next conversation. So, again, this woman, this figure, publicly to me isn't given enough grace. It's more about people wanting to know the real her, to judge her, to possibly tear her down and use it against her. And then it makes me think of the situation with Meg the Stallion. Of course, I'm going to talk about that. So, if you don't know, Meg the Stallion is a rapper, beautiful woman, and was it 2 years now? Yeah, it's been that long. I think it's been about 2 years this has been going on. I think, was it 2020? I think that this happened. I don't know. Time is weird right now, but she was out with her friend Kelsey and Tory Lanez, who is also a rapper, and there was an incident, and we knew for the longest time she was shot in the foot. And there was a lot of confusion around that, and then people, Tory Lanez coming out with a whole album speaking negatively about her, saying he was falsely accused. He putting social media posts saying, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Those weapons did prosper, by the way. And Kelsey also, her friend, Kelsey, friend, also saying putting out a diss track against Meg as well in those early days. Fast forward, we're now on Christmas Eve, the verdict in their case, because it went to trial. And Tory Lanez was found guilty. There was enough evidence to find him guilty. And I don't know. I don't know if it's true that Kelsey has immunity. I don't know, because I'm like, why is she not going to jail either? The Between then and now, now included, the number of people who were hateful toward Meg, and just it's a little shocking. And someone said, why is it shocking? It's always been that way. I said, no, it's shocking because there is no men in the rap industry that I'm seeing who are truly outwardly supporting her. That's not in her camp already. Not in her, her producers and all that. You would hope that they would back her, but like other rappers. And then you have like Drake came out and just took a shot at her, seeming for no reason. Like, did y'all have a relationship? Like, did she piss you off? Did she, like, why did you say these things? And everything from after the verdict was read, and Tory Lanez's father, just sounding crazy in a part of the press conference, and I'm not even going to get into that, but he was so angry. He was angry at everybody. He's angry at Jay-Z, Rock Nation. But you're not angry at your son. Your son, there were eyewitnesses. This is the part that just throws me about this. There's eyewitnesses. The man had gun residue. And they said, oh, Kelsey did too. I feel like there's just this hunt to say, well, there's no proof. I was like, but there was proof. Someone saw a short little man shooting a gun several times. There were several someones who saw it. He paid off Kelsey to lie. He attempted to pay off several others. Meg's bodyguard went missing over this. Because I think he accepted the money from Tory and probably didn't want to go through with it in the end. And people call this woman a lie. Why would she lie? Meg is doing great. She's hosted SNL. She has had so many like opportunities and great things happening for her acting roles. What would be the benefit? Somebody said, oh, for clout. She's bigger than Tory Lanez. Okay, anyway. Why? That makes absolutely no sense. Like, this doesn't bode well. And she is an educated woman, so I don't see how she would see how this would end well for her. It's actually taken a toll on her mental health. And then career-wise, we'll see where this goes. But the way in a court of public opinion, one, I'm concerned at the number of her own people, black people, who were totally seemed to be against her and really wanting to promote that leprechaun, that evil little leprechaun, who has anger issues. Okay. He attacked August Alsina. If you don't know who August Alsina is, all right, you know the whole situation with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett with the entanglement and all that. Yeah, that's the guy that she was entangled with. But anyway, Tory Lanez went off on him. It was at least two other people he went off on. Like this, he got a little Napoleon man complex or something, I think, and he just goes off. Um, I've been around enough men like that. I'm not very tall, by the way. I'm only 5'5". I used to say I was 5'6", and I thought I was, but I'm actually 5'5". So when I say shorter men, I'm not very tall. 5'5" is not very tall. So if you're less than 5'5", I mean, you're allowed to be short, but those types of guys, a lot of them that I've come across tend to have a little bit more extra attitude. Maybe for good reason, they've had to, be a little bit more on the defense because people are maybe challenging them. I don't know. I don't know their life. I don't know. But um, I'm trying to give reasonable explanation for that, but I don't know. His father seemed like an angry man himself, so I was like, maybe that's where he gets it from. Um, but that's anyway. I thought about the parallels. I was like, this is another woman. Just they've mocked her, and this is she was shot in the foot. That was terrifying. She doesn't have her people, her parents. Her mother, father, and I believe grandmother as well. They're all gone. Um, I've seen a lot of people on Instagram who hoodoo practitioners saying, she venerates her ancestors in her music all the time, and they showed up for her, even down to her choice of clothing that she wore to the trial of the purple, which is if there's been some chatter on the internet about that. Oh, she still looked too sexy. Why are her boobs out and all that sort of stuff? Those are her. That first of all, it's her body, so you can't get rid of the big boobs just because you put an outfit on. Whether you cover or not, they're there. Well, unless you're strapping them down, then why is she doing that? Also, that's part of her power. That's the purple power suit. There was meaning behind that. She didn't wear that for no reason. Trust me. She's an educated woman. I'll just say that she didn't just put that outfit on because she just put it on. There was a reason for that particular color, the cut, the style. It was a reason for everything. I believe that. And it does make me wonder if she consulted someone, a witch or a hoodoo practitioner of sorts. It does make me wonder if she did, because it makes sense. Also, if it did, David advised her well, because she came out well with that experience in the end. I I sometimes I get really overwhelmed just thinking about, to be a woman, okay, just to be a woman, even in today's society. People have this idea, it's like, oh, well, we're in 2022, almost 2023. It doesn't, like, why are these things, why are people being slut shamed? And, people in a trial came up about who she had sex with, having sex with him, and Kelsey also had sex with him, and all this other stuff. And she was being judged about that. And the conversation I've saw is like, why is this even a thing after all these years? Like, it doesn't matter who you're sleeping with. Why do people care? Because it hasn't been that long. And I think that's the issue. We need to recognize women's rights did not happen a long time ago. I mean, it was the 80s, y'all. It was like the 80s with the whole credit card thing. Like, you couldn't, my mom got her first credit card in the 80s. She would have not have been able to get that credit card until then, because she didn't have a father or a husband at the time to get her a credit card. That was the 80s. Anyway, I think people don't fully. Civil rights happened in the 60s. The 60s is not that long ago. There are people. I mean, I was married to several. I mean, I've had two husbands, and they both were born. Well, no, was he born in the 60s? Yeah, he was born. They both were born in the 60s. I had to think about that. Yeah. This is crazy to me that we think so much time has passed. It really hasn't. So I guess I'm not shocked, and that's just for women, how women are viewed. And then there's the law, and then there's the, society and how we're still viewing women. Like those people who wrote the law, those people who were being born, they were still being brought up in that time, and they still hold those values and thoughts, and then they teach their children and so forth. So they still have these ideas about women. I mean, we can tell we have young men with the podcast saying crazy things about how women should be, and it's like women can be however they're going to be because I'm an individual. We're not all the same. We don't all act the same. How we express femininity or not, which innately we are feminine because we're women. Don't get me started on that. But anyway, um, who who's making this test? And then people, that's when they bring in a religion. They're going to bring in religion, and I shoot that down immediately. Well, I'm not part of that. So if I'm not part of that, then what? Well, you're still being judged on it by who? Who's judging me? I don't believe in your God. You have a false God in my mind. Just pick one. I think they're all false. They're all false to me. But anyway, because I'm going to go on a tangent on that, and I don't want to make this about that on Christmas Eve. Um, yeah, yeah. But how she was mocked, Meg, over the situation, like that's, she's so young. She could be my daughter. She's so young, and I have a daughter in her 20s. Um, my daughter is 26, and I'm gonna tell you something. She's out there. She's navigating these very grown-up worlds, being an adult and living her life. My son as well, and that would hurt her like that. Like if several people, let's say 20 people, decided to DM my daughter all at once, saying nasty things to her, calling her a liar, a whore, a slut, and just saying these, like just going off, 20 people, it would be a moment in time where it would upset her. Like it would be very bad. We're still people. I can't imagine, like she sees this stuff. She knows what people are saying. But even still, you have actual celebrities who are coming out just openly just saying nasty stuff and perpetuating false information about her. All the blogs, which again, can we now understand that bloggers are not real journalists? You can be a journalist that also blog, but you're not a blogger who's a real journalist. That they're not the same. And they do want the views, the likes, and things like that. The journalists, a lot of times, it's not. It's not. They were in it before there was even something called likes. I just I hate that for her. I hate that she had to go through that. I hate that it wasn't overwhelming support for someone. I mean, there was a question on whether she was even shot, and there was a doctor who, they showed that she was really shot. She still has some leftover residue or whatever, for the bullet in her foot. You hope she sues, I know. But who? Like, for, yeah, there's a couple people. I think Drake get a lawsuit because we could put bring rap lyrics into court now, bring them in. I would sue him, 50 Cent for his post. I didn't like that. And people said, oh, don't mess with 50 Cent. He's petty. He just keeps going in. Oh, he could be taken down a peg too. I don't think that's okay that he jumped. My thing is he knows. Well, he did. You know what? He's a whole other thing. I won't even get into him. But yeah, all of them and all the bloggers for sure. I want, just Cardi B set precedent for the woman that she sued. I can't remember the woman's name. Is it Natasha? Tasha something? She was just going in. And people said, oh, it must be true if she's suing. No, you're causing havoc. You're causing problems. And she, even for the longest time, I think Cardi B put a lawsuit, or she put something, a cease and desist with the Shade Room, because they had to stop posting and doing stuff for Tasha K. Thank you. Yeah, they had to stop for a minute with her as well. That was early on. But yeah, that's what you do. That's defamation of character. I'm building a brand here, and it's not good to constantly. Okay, in Cardi B's situation, I know the biggest thing they were saying that she's oh my God, her husband cheating on her, and he's with these different women. It's not good for her brand. It's not so much. Yeah, there's the issue about you're talking, ish about her husband and all that sort of stuff in her marriage, but it's not good for her brand to be made to look like she's being cheated on all the time. So you want to nip that in the bud before that goes even further. And it got really far, and whether he cheated or not, or is cheating, It's not good for her brand. With Meg, it's not good for her brand being dragged through the mud with this. And but she has a loyal fan base, gratefully. Meg Thee Stallion has a loyal. So does Cardi B, obviously. They have very loyal fans. I'm a fan of both. I love both women, and it's messed up because you know who I think could have really helped Nicki, but Nicki at this point I feel like is a lost cause. She has single handedly brought her own stuff down to me. Like she's damaged her own brand. Like you're on the sunset of your career. Obviously, you know. I'm not saying that she has to, but it's inevitable because that's it's a young person's game. You know, the rap thing. And she's like 40 now. I think she just turned 40. So you know they usually for the men, but even for the men, after a while they start coming at you. After a while, the young guys, the younger kids, they're fickle about that. Um, I think that you know I love Nicki, and I still love Nicki's music. That's the thing about I still love her and her music. I just she said a lot of things, have done a lot of bizarre, really negative things and negative things to people. But if she was able to be normal, and if she was able to stand beside Meg, I think that would have helped because she would have weaponized the Barbs, who, by the way, her fan base is a whole other. If you're watching this and you're a Barbs, I'm sorry, I don't. I understand your loyalty. It's just y'all get a little crazy though. They talk about the Beehive. You know the Barbs are different. Don't don't mess with that fan base. They work a little differently. But anyway, I want to just conclude with protect black women. Conclude, protect black women. Um, but you know, if we're honest, we see this happening on small scales. You don't have to be a big celebrity. I mean, I've seen this happen. It's happened to me. It's happened to me. It's happening. I'm gonna tell you a quick story, a little drama that's happening in my own family. I have a family member who's currently. I feel like I'm protecting her because I love her, but I don't feel like others are doing the same. Um, you know, it's a small. She got a small circle of people. I'm when I mean protecting, I'm sending another kind of protection over her as well. But there's other people in the family who just have it out for us. Like they wake up with a hard on to cause her issues. Like they're really going after her, and it's gotten public. They were using social media to basically make her look bad. You know, just outlandish lies and and you know it's one thing we talk about celebrities. You talk like in real life you're a regular person and someone in your family. It's not like someone you know or several someones are just speaking negatively about you and just like flat out lying or taking bits of truth and you know exaggerating it into a different narrative to make you look like a bad guy, accusing you basically of doing of theft, um, of you know causing someone else harm, like and it's real. Like they're really doing this, and you know you're dealing with people who might have some mental health issues, so you're being respectful of that. But at the same time, they're really making you look bad to people you know, not just to the world, but to people you actually know. This family member, actually, a friend of theirs, a friend they known since childhood, everybody's adults, believe it or not, uh, called them and they had seen the Facebook posts and some place, I don't know where else they posted, where they basically were being, they flat out, another family member said that they were a thief, you know, and they're stealing and they're doing all these things. And the friend said, you know, oh, I don't believe that. But yeah, in the meantime, I just, you know, I want to just see with my own eyes. Could you put so and so on the phone? And, you know, the person they're taking care of is an elder. Can you put them on the phone? I just want to see with my own eyes. They didn't realize how that sounded. What do you need to see? You believe? Here's the thing: someone who knows you, is knows you that you talk to, still they just want to make sure that that person's not lying. You know that this other family member saying these horrible things about you. They just want to make sure. That's what that does. Like, do you to be for that to be on the receiving end of that? even if it's cleared up and it's proven that, which it was, is that this person's lying, and that there's something quite not right up here with them, um, it's already out there. You know, there still will be people say, "Oh, I don't know," and you can say you don't care, but I don't know. All you have left sometimes is your legacy. Like, you know, these people I'm talking about are not young people in my family, so it's, you know, they don't have a lot of time to make this up. So it's a little messed up. I just it's tough to navigate within my family. It's causing huge rifts within my own family on that side of the family. Anyway, it's causing some rifts. So um, I just keep trying to send healing energy to all parties involved because I don't want to hex or curse a family member. Ideally, but yeah, and I know some of them catch me on here on a low. But if you want to keep doing this, yeah, I'm not. It's not a fair fight, and it's several somebodies against this one person. So I might have to do a little something. I try to keep it light because, as I mentioned in other videos, when I do, and this is facts, I'm not just, you know, trying to threaten somebody or say, but whenever I've gone to that side and I've done that type of work, it usually ends not well. And I don't want to do that. I'm not that type of person. I don't want to do that. But at the same time, I hate bullies. I hate someone who's being a bully. This is whether my family, if I'm out and about and I'm seeing someone being bullied, I interject. I don't care if I'm only 5'5" and there's a bunch of bigger people around. I speak up and I say something. I hate seeing someone being bullied. Whether it's online, whether I know you very well, whether it's in my face. I've actually seen that happen. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was going into a store and there was this little boy. He ran up. He was like, "Can you help me?" And I was like, he looked about 11, 12 maybe. And I was like, help you do what? He was like, and then he turned around. There was like five other 11, 12-year-old boys coming up. They looked like they were chasing. He was running. And I was like, all right, come on in the store. He came in the store, and you know, I didn't ask him his name. I didn't do anything. He just, I think he really, I don't know if he had did something, and they were justified to come to get him, or if they were bull. I don't know, but it was still, that was too many little boys against this one. So no, I didn't let that happen. So I helped him. But that's the kind of person I am. I don't like that. When people are getting picked on, not a fan. So that's why I'm even talking about this because I don't like it. I didn't like when I was watching Miss CLEO. I didn't like that I was part of that. It made me feel bad. I felt bad that I did that, that I thought those skits were funny. She was a real person and she was just trying to make her way. And she was with a corrupt company, but we didn't know all that. And with Meg, she was out, she was a young woman, she was partying, she was out with friends, and yeah, she didn't act, that doesn't mean she was asked to be shot. Like, she doesn't deserve to be shot. um, and with all these other celebrities and things like that, and the situation with the family member, like, they didn't act, they're in these positions, they're doing certain things, they didn't ask to I don't know, be defamed publicly. That's not cool. I don't know. But I will say this, as far as it being Christmas Eve, huge switch. um, I made a point this year not to decorate my house with the theme of Christmas. I still have this Christmas pillow. I just like it red, but I've been turning it around. I have it like this and not on this side because I love the red, the pop of red. But it has been very good for me not to do that. It's taken a lot. I don't know why it's taking me this long. I guess over the years, I don't know. I'm anti Christmas because I see it as a pagan holiday anyway. Um, but it was important for me to kind of give up the remnants of the Christian aspect of it. Um, Even though I don't see it that way, I know others do, and I think part of me does too. Even some of the Christmas music that I enjoy, like the Temptation Silent Night came on, and I will belt that out, the deep voice part and all. Especially since I've been sick, it was more natural for me to do the deep voice. So I'm in the car, and that comes on Silent Night, and I'm getting my song on, and I'm really listening to the words. I was like, oh man, this is funny. but I still finish the song because it's part of my upbringing. It's part of my like childhood. It's the part of Christmases that I remember, and I can separate in my mind like it's okay to sing these songs. I know people who are witches, who have nothing to do with Christianity, but they enjoy gospel music. It's uplifting. And I think it can be uplifting. I agree. It can be. Or it's just part of a core memory of it takes you to a happy place. It makes you think about your mother or your grandmother or something and good times where you felt safe and secure. So I get it. But as time goes on, I mean, I'll still listen to Silent Night Temptations. That sets off Christmas. But yeah, I kind of want to just really strip even more of the Christian aspects. I'm really over that. I'm over modern day Christians. I'm over their dogma and all that. Like, I don't want to argue with anybody about it. I feel like I'm constantly in my real life, y'all. I'm actually really having these conversations in real life. This is not, I'm not talking about on social media, in real life and conversations. This comes up with me, and I'm just exhausted from it. I don't care. I don't want to hear about a Bible verse. I don't want to hear about, but you know, and the real Bible is in this place, and I don't care. And I don't want any more remnants of that in my life. So I'm going to probably over the years just take more and more. By the time I'm done, I'll probably have Krampus instead of a nutcracker. I'll have the Krampus thing standing up when it's all said and done. And I'll be on a live on Christmas Eve. And I'll come with some freaking horns talking about Merry Yule and Winter Solstice, you know, instead of you know, just be forewarned. I think I'm getting more pagan, you know. I'll be sitting up here just looking like I'm in some kind of tribal makeup or something. I don't know. I'm heading in that direction. But for now, you know, we're still very much this. Oh gosh, but I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I will be back. Let me make sure I'm saying the right date. I want to make sure I got this right. I got so thrown off this month. Where's the calendar at? When is New Year's? Oh, New Year's Day is on Sunday. So New Year's Eve is the 31st. So I am gonna do a live because I want to talk about like setting witchy intentions and all that sort of stuff, how to do that. If you're gonna do that, starting with January 1st, vision board. Thank you. Happy holidays. I'm gonna do that. Yeah, so that's definitely happening on. I'll be live next Saturday. Um, and just kind of talking about the channel and all that sort of stuff, and more to come, and all that like good stuff, fun stuff. Um, but happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I hope you had a wonderful Yule. Yule, by the way, started on December 21st. It continues to the 31st, so we're still there. It's not a 1 day event. Um, Winter solstice, that was the thing, but Yule continues on. So Merry Yule as well. And I hope everybody just has a great time, and hopefully, you know, you have your family or your chosen family or your pet furry family or whatever you're around to make you happy and to feel good. I'm alone now, but I won't be tonight. I'm very excited. Both my babies who are grown are here, and I'm very excited about that. We're gonna bake cookies and do all that. They actually enjoy doing this sort of stuff. By the way, I don't make them. I do, but they like it. It's a good thing. But thank you so much for watching and for coming here on Christmas Eve. I appreciate you all. I really do. I really realized after being down, being sick, and having a chance to really think, I really enjoy doing YouTube. I really like this. It's fun for me, and I'm glad I can. So anyway, I'm out of here. Bye.